My parents got divorced when I was 12. They separated about a year or two beforehand. I have 4 siblings. We each are healthy, happy, in great relationships, healthy, functioning members of society. We all have different experiences of how we experienced our parents' divorce, but we all have a general, very overly positive experience. And really, the real reason why I'm doing this is to honor my parents. My father wanted to, I guess, make us feel better and tell us that everything is going to stay the same. He said, nothing is changing in our lives. Our lives are going to be the same, except that I'm just sleeping in a different apartment at night. He said, divorce is like getting a 65 in a test. It's something that me and my siblings talk about a lot, still to this day. It's like getting a 65 in a test. He really downplayed, the whole event. In retrospect, was that fair? Was that the right approach? I don't know. I remember at that time really appreciating that approach. Like, it wasn't like my life was about to fall apart. Like, this wasn't like this huge catastrophe. He kept saying, nothing's changing, I'm right here. There was no anger there. There was no, it wasn't like this huge dramatic conversation. Obviously, as the weeks and the months played out, there were, many emotions that we needed to deal with. I remember the first night he wasn't home, just that emptiness that we felt. But my father's response was, I'm right here. My mother, who was just such an unbelievable hero, really an unbelievable hero, she didn't obviously want to get divorced. I can't begin to describe to you how happy she kept the house. We were the house. She made every Hanukkah party. She made every Thanksgiving party. We never felt bad for ourselves. We came home from school, the music was playing. She never complained. Like, she had her emotions, and I think that the way that she dealt with her, her hard times is, I remember she used to go into her room and close the door. And I remember when she was in her room and she closed the door, like, my stomach turned a little bit, like, hoping she's okay. She put on the happiest face when we got home from school, before Shabbos, she used to remind us, don't forget to call daddy, don't forget to call your grandparents, don't forget to call. My father took us out for supper every Tuesday night. Part of our ritual was we either went to my grandmother who lived on the Upper West Side, or we went to my most favorite dessert. And because my father didn't cook, and that's what we did. I don't remember ever a time that he didn't send home food for my mother. There was always like a constant support I really felt between the two, which I think really translated into we're healthy people. And our marriage didn't work out, but there's no reason why our children have to suffer. And that was so meaningful to me. I never felt what child wants to go through life thinking that their mother hates their father and their father hates their mother. My mother is part of me, and my father is part of me. And genetically, nature, nurture. So if you don't like my mother, then you don't like a big part of me, and if you don't like, if that's the message that parents send, that there's this animosity, it translates into, you're rejecting a really special part of me. And I don't know how to deal with that. The biggest problem that I've seen in the last many years doing couples counseling and working in a school is when parents hate each other more than they love their child. When the couple who's getting divorced, they allow their tension to get in the way, and that blocks their love for their child. It hurts me. Nothing pains me more, really almost nothing pains me more than when a child tells me that a parent, for some reason it's often the father, but I don't want to be stereotypical, because sometimes it's the mother too, when they didn't show up. They were standing there, they had their bag, they thought they were going, there was no contact, there was no phone call. They're looking at the clock, and 3 o'clock comes, 3:30 comes. Is my father coming? Is my mother coming? I get emotional when I talk about it, because to me it's such a traumatic event in their life to think that the people who are supposed to be their rock don't show up. And that's not a function of divorce. That doesn't come from divorce. That's indicative of the character of the parent. And sometimes I'll call the parents and I'll be like, what happened? They were waiting for you. Oh, last week she did that to me. She didn't show up. So you don't show up for your child? I can't understand this for the life of me, how parents punish each other. She didn't come for my time, so I'm not going up for her time. This is your child. This is your child's time. I can't. If there was a message that I could scream, to everyone, you don't understand. That child is at home. She's waiting there, or he's waiting there with their suitcase. It's 3:30 and you haven't yet showed up. By 4 o'clock, she's pretty confident that you're not coming. Who should the child process these feelings with? with their mother, with their father who's home with them, the response is so often, yeah, what a deadbeat dad, or this is your mother, this is why I divorced her, never showing up when she's supposed to, now you understand. Instead of validating the child, or instead of, acknowledging the experience, the disappointment, the hurt, the loss, the grief, the sadness that the child is experiencing, it all becomes about them and their relationship with their ex. It takes a lot of emotional energy to get, to prepare yourself to go to a different house and to move and to, I'm going here for Shabbos, I'm going there for Shabbos, and they don't show up. That's extremely painful. And if a parent is not able to really validate and be there for the child, both parents, to me, I think that's the number one mistake the parents make. I clearly I can cry from it because I have cried from it. I just, to me, it's unexcusable, and it's not. People can say, no, if you don't understand, divorce is so hard. I was working late. What would you have done if you had to make, extra money? Make a phone call. Make a phone call. It's 2022. We have phone. There's no excuse for a child sitting there waiting, and parents canceling plans, left and right because they want to get back at the other parent. I can't excuse that behavior, and I find that these are the insecurities and these are the anxieties that children bring with them, with their peers and with their next marriage. How am I supposed to trust that someone's going to come home when they tell me that they are? That never happened for me. When someone's going through a divorce, they have to be their healthiest self because the child needs so much. And if I can be sure that a parent and both child just has the emotional vocabulary to be able to experience what they're experiencing in a healthy way, to me, I feel like that could be life-saving. A child can say to a parent, I'm really sad that I'm not going to be with you, for Shabbos, and the parent can say, like, I get that. I'm also. I join you in your sadness, and sit with that and learn the empathy skills, learn just to join them in the emotion. That can be so life-changing for the child. I don't see that often enough. I see there's so much anxiety and so much tension and so much stress surrounding the conflict and the tension that parents are just not as emotionally healthy and available as they should be, just to be able to sit with the emotion. For the parent to be able to say, like, I'm sad, I'm going to miss you. And then that's it. We don't have to start excusing and problem solving for our children. So, my course happens to be available. You can look at it at, www.shifilieberman.com. You can, Google, you can go to your own therapist. There are a lot of different, traumas that people live through. And I think that when a child can be able to describe an experience with words instead of acting out the experience, I think that's life-changing. I look back and I say to myself, the fact that my parents went through this divorce gives me an extra layer of empathy, of feeling, of an understanding, to help people specifically going through divorce, but more in general, life is not perfect. We build our resilience, we create confidence, we have to, build our self-esteem in ways that are sometimes unnatural, but I do think that you can come out the most awesome person, and not that you can, you should. I think that we have to create our confidence, and we have to create, this ability of, like, I can rise above it, which a lot of people have to do in many different situations, but specifically in divorce when it's so public and everybody knows what you're struggling with.